Posted 1 hour ago. Dantes and his stupid ideas. Let's look.
Today we are talking about Dantes, aka the guy who sucked face with Selena Gomez on TV, aka the guy whose original username according to Twitch incels was an unlawful promotion of butt sex, aka the headless horseman, the demonetized demon, the quite possibly worst World of Warcraft player I have ever seen, who has recently taken on a challenge near and dear to my cold heart.
Funny that this guy's sitting here saying I'm the worst World of Warcraft player when I didn't hear him getting level 60. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm gonna be doing an ADC challenge.
Now as a hard
My voice does not
stuck right clicker who has been assured through therapy on a regular basis that I should hold my head up high because it's always support diff. I've been hate watching this douche canoe blow past my rank, treating his Twitter page like the back room of Bed Bath & Beyond with the amount of freaking soap boxes I'm seeing on there, but the latest one made me curious. This boils down to a tankier vein build that goes against the mouth-breathing meta followers who autopilot on hit items every game, and his reasoning behind it is this.
Play it a way where you don't get one shot, and as long as you don't get one shot, you're able to carry the game for your team.
Now he's been receiving more hate than a young red pill sneako at a feminist convention for this build, yet he's climbing and announcing his victories from that same back room.
Well, I was climbing. We've had a rough couple days though, but we're gonna be back in action soon enough. Alright, let's go.
On Twitter. So today I figured I would analyze his sauce in action and then try it myself in my own hard stuck hell on earth that I'm stuck in. He starts by saying this.
ADC players have a very bad autistic fixation on DPS. This is their problem. They feel like if they're doing less damage per second, that it's bad. But imagine I'm playing this game, right? And I'm against Azir, Shaco, and Zed. The only thing I need to do this game is survive long enough for my Lulu to ult me, and then we win the fight.
True!
But it's like, ADC players are gonna sit there, right? And they're gonna be like, oh dude, no. If I'm doing 200 less damage per second on 6 items, but I'm surviving 5 seconds longer, that's bad. Like they don't actually understand the game.
True!
And Void, them to get free shot. I have 15,000 hours in League of Legends. I can look at League of Legends. I can play a single game on a champion.
Okay, I don't like how he's turning me into a meme. This is very hurtful.
And I can sit there and I can say, I know exactly what this champion needs to 1v9. And I'm intelligent enough that I can look at what their kit provides. And just by these 2 things, I'm able to say, I know what to build on this champ.
True!
Like
as I get higher rank, my win rates are literally scaling higher and higher and higher. You know what I mean? There's a reason why.
And I'm thinking, yeah, because at your rank you have a Lulu so far up your ass there's constantly more bubbles on you than a bathtub overdosing on soap, and that he just doesn't understand what happens to an account that has 300 games in silver where the Fizz supports roam wild. Were you engaged because you have a gank incoming only for them?
No. Rav, you can shut your disgusting mouth. You want to know what I had yesterday in my game? Watch this. Watch what her pickle does. Watch. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. He misses Q and then does this. After he does this, he walks straight top and does not come bot for the next 15 minutes. Talking about good supports, fucking piece of shit. Alright, so the rest of this now.
Dick as you are stuck having to cosplay Gosu for the next 30 seconds, clenching your ass cheeks so hard they cramp just to get an even trade.
Why is he not using his health pod?
Your frontliner pops his ghost to get back to lane faster. Where games are decided not on which team played the better game, but rather which team didn't have the person that rage quit. But he did travel through this piss pit low on his journey, so I had to learn.
I'm literally carrying every single game through mechanics alone.
Dude. Oh, close. Actually close. I got ganked. Why is this guy calling me a fucking homo?
Then in addition to building different, you also play different. Like instead of farming bot lane safely and scaling, he opts to go mid and play games of cat and mouse with half the enemy team in between their towers 9 minutes into the game. But who am I to doubt the strategy of someone who is so committed to this game that he names his pets after champions?
You mean?
That said, he does return to his hometown as I observe how he responds to receiving a gank from his jungler. He drapes his nutsack over the chomping bear traps, which judging by his TikTok I'm guessing is a fetish of his or something, before deep-throating that fat Mexican midget's bonbon, contributing a
Wait. Yo, Rav, what? Bro, Rav, we gotta call the police on you, bro. We gotta call the fucking police on you, bro. I'm not deep-throating his Mexican... What?
3 auto attacks to the effort, to which I'm thinking maybe when it comes to ADC, the less you actually participate in the game, the better.
Okay, to be fair, I had to go see my mom for a little bit. Dude. No.
Side note, he unironically got more last hits when he was AFK. Anyways, he comes back from what I can only assume was him telling his mom about the fat shit he took this morning or something, and immediately decides to make his opening move in this next battle, a series of hungry hippoing every enemy skill shot. But I guess never doubt a gooner when it comes to edging, as he re-engages one Bard's fart away from death and wins the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in the film entitled Lulu Cuffed My Ballsack. But jokes aside, watching his VODs, there's no shortage of base takes he was spitting about ADCs.
Scaling runes for ADC are just very fake. Because if you're getting to a point where you're like late game as an ADC, whether you're like 5% more powerful or not doesn't matter. True.
And you do see he's way more useful than a normal one-item Vayne who would have to be sweating more than a blind lesbian at a fish market just to have any agency at this point in the game. But with infinite phage procs, a bit of HP and ninja topics, he's not at a risk of getting blown up like the doll in his own closet, so he can play like a total dipshit and succeed. Second item, Hexblade gives him the
Dude, what is this editing? What the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Down reduction to look a bad decision in the eyes and tumble deeper into danger while having just enough beef to thrive in the chaos, unlike the Kraken Slayer Vaynes in the stands who would die to a Shaco sneeze. And so I guess the argument is he is surviving mid-game long enough to expedite reaching his end game build. I can't tell if Emerald is just where the bonobo apes live or if a bit of health gear makes no one bother focusing him, but it lets him be the first high elo ADC to use his flash aggressively as he helps take down that flash before reuniting with his team to herd dog a bunch of other enemies back towards their fountain. The more I watch the way he plays, the more I want to call him an absolutely boosted dipshit, and to his credit I am thinking a normal ADC would have died 16 times over again, but like a young Riley Reid he says I can do this because I have plan B, which in this case looks to be get bailed out by his Lulu, and I'm thinking that's just dumb luck, but if we rewind back to loading screen it turns out it's all part of his strategy.
The only thing I need to do this game is survive long enough for my Lulu to ult me, and then we win the fight. Chill! Ooh, okay.
And I've also learned not to be the one to call him bad.
Man, you badass ADC. Yo, Yusef, you what's your PGG? Go. Type username and hashtag. Let's go, Yusef. Yusef TR. Fucking Gold Fort Turkey typing this shit.
So I guess at this point, instead of being a glass cannon that has to play
did not
front to
give me
back
his
and rely on
OPGG.
having one of those mythical non-brain dead frontliners, he just goes straight flanky Frankie and straight to the back like a beefcake while putting the ass in assassin tactics. And
absolute fucking crazy mode
can't
gameplay.
Just tap him like a normal Vayne, he survives long enough to come out on top, and after hate watching for days. This seemingly sloppy strategy is what's winning him most of his games, and thus I had to try it myself. But the thing is, my gameplay was going to look a bit different. I have literally zero mastery on this tumbling twat, and before the game start I almost always have at least 3 fingers on my wiener, so shit like this happens.
Dude, what the fuck?
Early on I staple their skeleton to the wall, but he knows my weakness.
Wait, why does Rav not show his IGN?
This is a good hooker, so I get in a bit of a pickle that I will say if I would have had the components of Kraken Slayer instead of ABF sword here, I definitely would have been a fire that midget fighter could put out, but the extra damage really felt nice. It also helped that this Thresh's parents are siblings.
We can see his username, Rav. Wait. He won every single game playing tank ADC on a champ he's never played before. Yeah, dude. And then he sits there saying, fuck Dantes and his stupid ideas. Yeah, that's what I thought.
as well. I finished my first item and decided the hopping bitch wasn't worth the effort, so I would just fight front to back, and with the attack speed procs it did feel nice bullying the slow kid in lane. This left that jizz puddle from Tacoma FD orphaned under tower, so I hit her with a little push back to base bitch combo and things were feeling nice until I learned that a steel-toed ninja could just crawl out of people's assholes mid-fight, so it wasn't all rainbows and showers. This point.
No, he could have won that if he would have auto
But
bitch
that said,
Asana.
with Ninja Tabi and a few health components, I could treat this Triss attacks like an ugly hose DMs and just ignore them while fucking her friend, which I guess I shouldn't brag about because that friend was letting just about anyone tap that ass.
Dude, does he think up all of these, or like, does he ask like AI, like what?
And so even though the first game was an easy win, I never reached full enough build, plus my mid laner's performance was being commentated by Barney Stinson.
Legend? Wait for it. Dairy!
Game 2 would be a better test, as you can see my top laner's attempt at a pre-game proxy push. You could just hear that pussy saying something about the bouse as he dies after killing a single fucking minion like a dipshit moron. That said, we were against a Heimerdinger fiddlesticks bot lane, to which I figured the KG's path in Dante's quasi-troll build would cook against, but
you win this!
Was a bitch and
Flash!
was a
Flash!
so this
Flash!
wasn't gonna
You
be easy.
fucking moron, bruh!
If he
Flash!
wasn't around, the hay bag was kept horny, but the second he hit 6,
Nice.
I was the victim of constant surprise parties. She was constantly playing 12 feet behind me with a bowl of popcorn as I'm Uber eating some degree whole body because I'm sweating my lip dick off
good
to carry the
play,
team, and
actually.
Even though the build was coming along, I couldn't think straight when all I could hear was,
Ooh,
Ally has been slain.
nice.
Ally has been slain.
Wait, why does he
At
have a
one point,
Samira?
this
Isn't he
scarecrow
the
went double
ADC?
sucking and out-healed my damage. I was about to pull up my DMs and send Dantes a picture of my asshole with the comment, "This is what I think about your build," but I got distracted from the sounds in my head continuing.
Okay.
It
Guys,
turns out I could
daily reminder that Rav uses AI voice because he says he hates real artists and real voices. Rav only uses AI art and AI voices for all of his videos and thumbnails. Rav loves AI.
survive things like Jarvan III's son inviting me on a play date, but I couldn't seem to keep the color on my screen enabled as it constantly felt like we were getting caught off guard, which may or may not have had to do with the fact that Karma's a bitch and mine was both dumb and had the lowest vision score in the game. So if you remember, this was my front line and this was my support. This wasn't going to save me. But then I remembered a quote from Dantes.
I have a dream.
And so I kept playing with the build, improving my vein mechanics, until I could understand what his dream meant, and I was ready to show the world how far I had come and how itemizing correctly on an ADC is overpowered. With a fully charged tempo that was lethal in the early game, I used it to bench a greedy Kench, and then the right click button on my mouse was like, "Don't stop, Rav, don't stop, don't stop." Oh my god, right there, which one got me the double, and two, I bet paints a picture of how much of a stud I am IRL. Anyways, you would think it makes sense for a catfish to be found in river, but something about this one just felt like he was mispositioned, and in case you forgot what elo, I'm hard stuck and they had a full AP blitzcrank mid. This gave me enough cash to hit a little shopping spree, but their support wanted to know how many licks it took to be a piece of shit, and the answer was 1, and to make matters worse, I put myself in a situation.
What did I just hear?
This gave me enough cash to hit a little shopping spree, but their support wanted to know how many licks it took to be a piece of shit, and the answer was 1, and to make
What does that even... Wait, what does that even mean? What does that even mean?
matters worse, I put myself in a situation where I had to absolutely embarrass the fuck out of this fat ass L plus ratio Pokimane status. Rather than waiting for 3 on hit items, I learned to play around the passive plus my ult from just 1 item, knowing with the steel-toed Nikes no asshole was gonna count all the way to 4 in my presence. Then if you've ever read the story Jonah and the Whale, there's an alternate ending where it spits him out. He hit a 1-2 somersault 3 no scope on his dumb face in front of a walking Halo 2 needler and lives happily ever after.
Wait, what? I don't even know what he's saying
I
anymore.
had a little bit of a hiccup when the R key on my keyboard got too sticky from the copious amounts of discharge on it from starting this game 7-1. If you were wondering why I was saving my ult for next game, but I do want you to know that while I was dancing like a broke coke addicted stripper, I eventually fixed the problem and Smurf USA'd on these mofos.
Dude, what? Wait.
The build was feeling super nice. As you can see, Volibears would come in thinking they could just Donkey Kong smash me for half my health, only to be wildly surprised to see it barely tickle me.
Bro, I think I speak for everyone when I say we need a Rav versus Back God. What the fuck is this?
Feel bad every time I would see this little gup with his MOBA Fire ADC build that the only humane thing I could think of to do was put the boosted animal out of his misery before Harry Houdini flashing from danger.
No, you could have fought that.
I was the hero everyone wanted to shake my hand, but when push came to shove they knew they couldn't hang with me. Pretty soon I had my own personal Barney Stinson commentating my gameplay.
Legend? Wait for it.
At one point my little fat chihuahua of a support got crane gamed into a toasted bathtub, and a squishy meta following ADC would have just ran away, but then I thought, what would Dantes do? And that's when I turned and did something dumb as shit, but similar to in his games. The bold big ball scene ended up working out in my favor.
Lips because of the hexblade
I was
help.
dead and at no risk of getting one shot, which was more liberating than sleeping commando, as I didn't rely on any front line or any support, and I could just let my balls fall wherever they wanted. I chased down any red health bar knowing that there wasn't a single threat that could stop me. With almost 3k health I could still melt tanks, and so with a bit of practice all my games were starting to look this way, and I hate to say it, but Dantes and his stupid build was actually genius. Genius enough to get me promoted to the highest I'd been all season.
Fucking Gold Ford Turkey typing this shit.
I'm hard enough. That's what all the haters.
But that's what I'm saying, dude! That's what I'm saying! Now what we need is we need Rav to learn about the power of my Jinx and Twitch builds. But I need to figure them out first. No, but the funniest thing about this video is the fact that he actually spends video time on how good the items felt and how it was actually nice. And then one of the highest upvoted comments is, tell this video, let me sums up how I feel about this guy. Nothing further to be said. But it's like, dude, it's irony. You know what I mean? Like, he's being ironic. Like, no, that's crazy. Me and Rav, if I ever meet him IRL.